Every aircraft has safeguards, systems designed to protect the crew. Oxygen supplies that keep them conscious at altitude. Captain Dennis Hargrove knew where those safeguards were, and today, on Flight 167 at 38,000 feet over the Sahara Desert, he's going to disable them because the flight attendant who reported him 3 months ago, she's working his flight. And Dennis Hargrove doesn't forget. He doesn't forgive. What Dennis doesn't know is this: Lena Voss isn't just a flight attendant. She spent 7 years building these aircraft systems at the Airbus factory in Toulouse. She knows every panel, every override, every code. And when he cuts her oxygen, thinking he's won, she's about to teach him a lesson about underestimating the people who built the machine you're trying to weaponize. It's 8:34 a.m., Frankfurt Airport, gate of 59. The Airbus A340-600 sits at the gate. Registration D-AIHX, bound for Johannesburg. 11 hours ahead, 5,000 miles south. 280 passengers boarding now through the jetway, pulling luggage, finding seats, settling in for the long African crossing. The aircraft is massive. 4 engines, long range, designed for these transoceanic routes. Ground crew completes final checks. Catering loaded, fuel tanks full, everything looks routine. But nothing about this flight is routine. Captain Dennis Hargrove arrives at the gate 40 minutes before departure. 47 years old, 19 years with the airline. He used to arrive early with enthusiasm. Now it's just habit, empty habit. His uniform still fits. 4 gold stripes on the shoulders, pants pressed, shoes polished. But something's different. His face is harder, eyes colder, jaw permanently clenched. He walks like a man carrying weight no one else can see. 19 years of flying. Dennis started with dreams. Be a captain, see the world, make a difference. Somewhere along the way, the dreams died. The job became a grind. Same routes, same procedures, same corporate policies that protect the company, not the pilots. Same passengers who complain about everything. Same crew members who report you for minor infractions while they break rules daily. Dennis is burned out. Completely. He doesn't love flying anymore. He resents it. Resents the airline. Resents management. Resents the crew scheduling that gives him impossible rotations. Resents the pay that hasn't kept pace with inflation. Resents passengers who treat him like a bus driver. Resents flight attendants who think they can tell him how to do his job. Especially flight attendants who file reports. 3 months ago, Dennis had a bad day. Flight to Dubai, long haul, 14 hours. He'd been awake for 18 hours before the flight started. Scheduling error, no one's fault, but Dennis had to fly anyway. He was exhausted, took medication to stay alert, not illegal, over the counter, but maybe more than recommended. His hands were shaking during approach. His speech was slightly slurred on the PA. One of the flight attendants noticed. Filed a report, substance concern, possible impairment. The report went to the chief pilot. Dennis was pulled off the schedule, drug tested, interviewed, investigated. The tests came back negative. No illegal substances, but the damage was done. The investigation stayed in his file. Permanent mark. His peers heard about it. Whispers in crew rooms. Some pilots avoided him. Management watched him closer. Every flight became scrutinized. The flight attendant who filed that report? Lena Voss. Dennis remembers her name, remembers her face, remembers how she smiled politely while destroying his reputation. She claimed she was concerned for safety. Dennis knows better. She was covering herself, making sure if anything went wrong, she had documentation, protecting her career at the expense of his. Dennis hasn't forgotten. For 3 months, he's carried this. The anger, the humiliation, the injustice of it. And now checking the crew. Manifest for Flight 167, he sees it. Lena Voss, lead flight attendant, his flight. Today. Dennis's jaw tightens, his hands form fists, then relax. He doesn't show emotion, not here, not at the gate, but inside something cold settles into place, a decision. Lena Voss is going to learn what happens when you report a captain. He boards the aircraft, walks straight to the cockpit. His first officer today is Stefan Richter, 32 years old, competent, quiet, German precision. They exchange brief greetings. Stefan starts pre-flight checks. Dennis programs the flight management system. Routine, professional, nothing unusual. But Dennis's mind is elsewhere. He's thinking about the A340's systems, specifically the cabin pressurization and oxygen systems. Dennis knows these systems intimately. He's been flying Airbus for 12 years, he knows how they work, and more importantly, he knows their vulnerabilities. The crew oxygen system is independent from passenger oxygen. Crew members have dedicated oxygen supplies at their stations. Cockpit, galleys, jump seats. The system can be controlled from the cockpit, flow rate, pressure, distribution. It's designed to give the flight crew control in emergencies, but control can be weaponized. Dennis knows he can restrict crew oxygen from his panel, make it look like a malfunction, reduce the flow, not enough to trigger alarms immediately, but enough to cause hypoxia, oxygen deprivation, symptoms, confusion, dizziness, shortness of breath, eventual unconsciousness, insidious. By the time you realize what's happening, your judgment is already impaired. He's not going to hurt passengers. That would be too obvious, too criminal. But the crew, specifically the lead flight attendant, that's different. That's teaching a lesson. That's justice. Dennis tells himself he's just going to make her uncomfortable, make her experience what it's like when your body doesn't work right, when you can't perform your duties, when you're the problem, just like she made him the problem 3 months ago. He doesn't think of it as assault, he thinks of it as balance. Lena Voss is already on board, arrived 30 minutes before Dennis, 39 years old, 12 years with the airline, but before that, 7 years at the Airbus factory in Toulouse, France, Cabin Systems Engineering Department. She helped design and build the interiors of these exact aircraft. Wiring, panels, oxygen systems, environmental controls, every technical detail. She knows the A340 better than most pilots. Not from flying it, from building it. Lena left Airbus for personal reasons, wanted more travel, less factory routine, better work-life balance. She became a flight attendant not because she couldn't do engineering, but because she wanted to see the world while using her technical knowledge in a different context. She understands these aircraft at a level most crew members never reach. Right now, Lena is in the forward galley preparing for service. Her uniform is immaculate. Lead flight attendant designation visible on her wings. She's organized, efficient, calm. The other flight attendants respect her. She's been flying long enough to handle any situation. Medical emergencies, difficult passengers, technical problems. She's seen it all. She doesn't know Dennis Hargrove harbors a grudge. Doesn't know he blames her for the investigation. In her mind, she filed a legitimate safety concern 3 months ago. Captain appeared impaired. She did her job. The system investigated. He was cleared. Case closed. She hasn't thought about it since, but Dennis has thought about nothing else. Boarding completes. Doors close. Jetway pulls back. Dennis gets pushback clearance from ground control. The A340 rolls away from the gate. 8:43 becomes 8:51, on time. Dennis taxis to runway 07R, ground control, tower handoff, takeoff clearance, everything routine. The A340 rotates, climbs. Frankfurt drops away beneath them. The aircraft turns south over Germany. Blue sky, perfect weather, light winds, smooth air. The aircraft climbs through 10,000 feet, 20, 30, reaching cruise altitude, 38,000 feet. Autopilot engaged. Systems normal. Stefan handles communications. Dennis flies. They're professional, efficient. Nothing suggests what's about to happen. In the cabin, Lena begins her service. Coffee, drinks, breakfast for business class. She's professional, warm with passengers, smiling. The crew works smoothly. Everything feels normal. But in the cockpit, Dennis is preparing. He waits 90 minutes. Lets the flight settle. Lets Stefan get comfortable. Then, casually, Dennis tells Stefan he's going to adjust some environmental controls, cabin temperature, airflow, routine adjustments. Stefan nods, doesn't question. Captains make these adjustments all the time. Dennis accesses the crew oxygen control panel. It's a small screen buried in the environmental control systems. Most first officers never look at it. Most captains never touch it unless there's an emergency. Dennis reduces the crew oxygen flow rate, not dramatically, just enough, from 100% to 60%, then to 50%. The system doesn't alarm. This is within adjustable parameters. No red lights, no warnings. But at 38,000 feet, 50% oxygen flow to crew stations isn't enough. Not for sustained periods. Hypoxia will set in gradually. 10 minutes, 15, depends on the individual, but it will happen. Dennis makes one more adjustment. He isolates the forward galley oxygen supply specifically, reduces it even further, 40%. That's where Lena is stationed. That's where she'll feel it first. He sits back, waits. In the forward galley, Lena is preparing the next service round. She feels fine, normal, working efficiently, but after about 8 minutes, something changes, subtle. A slight headache, mild dizziness. She pauses, shakes her head slightly. Probably just cabin pressure, happens sometimes. But it doesn't go away, it gets worse. 10 minutes. The headache intensifies, her breathing feels off, not quite right, shortness of breath. She takes deeper breaths, doesn't help much. The dizziness increases, room spinning slightly. 12 minutes. Lena grips the galley counter. Something's wrong. This isn't normal cabin pressure adjustment. This is something else. Her training kicks in, both airline training and engineering training. She analyzes her symptoms: headache, dizziness, shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, confusion starting, hypoxia, oxygen deprivation. But how? They're at cruise altitude. Cabin is pressurized. Passengers aren't affected. She can see them through the galley opening. They're fine. Just the crew, just her. She looks at the other flight attendants. They're starting to show symptoms too. One is sitting down, looking pale. Another is moving slower, seeming confused. This isn't an accident. This is localized. Crew oxygen system. Lena's engineering mind engages despite the hypoxia affecting her. Crew oxygen is controlled from the cockpit. Someone adjusted it. Deliberately, she needs to get to the cockpit, needs to tell them, but she can barely stand. Her legs feel weak, vision blurring slightly. She staggers toward the cockpit door, knocks. Her knock is weak, uncoordinated. Dennis opens the door, looks at her. His expression is cold, almost satisfied. Lena tries to speak. Her words are slurred. Says something's wrong. Crew oxygen. Can't breathe properly. Dennis's response is calculated, cold. His exact words, "Let's see how useful you are now." Then he closes the door. Lena stares at the closed cockpit door. Her hypoxia-affected brain struggles to process what just happened. Did he just refuse to help? Did he cause this? And then, through the fog of oxygen deprivation, a memory surfaces. 7 years at Airbus, building these systems, there's an override, emergency panel, manual oxygen activation. If she can find it, if she can remember the code, if she can stay conscious long enough. Lena turns, stumbles back into the galley. She's running out of time. So is the rest of the crew. And Dennis Hargrove thinks he's won, but he just threatened the one person on this aircraft who knows how to fight back. Lena leans against the galley counter. Her vision is tunneling, edges going dark. She knows this feeling. Hypoxia, advanced stage, minutes before unconsciousness, maybe less. Around her, the other flight attendants are in worse shape. Maria, working business class, is slumped in a jump seat, eyes half closed, breathing shallow. Thomas, mid-cabin, is on his knees, tried to stand, couldn't. Another flight attendant, Sarah, is unconscious in the aft galley, collapsed 2 minutes ago. The passengers are starting to notice. A man in seat 3C presses his call button. No response. The flight attendants aren't moving. Another passenger, a woman in 5A, stands up, walks to the forward galley, sees Lena gripping the counter, pale, gasping. The woman asks if Lena is okay, needs help. Lena can barely form words, manages to say, "Oxygen problem, crew only, passengers safe." The woman looks alarmed. Should she get the captain? Lena shakes her head weakly. Number, not the captain. She needs to think, needs to remember. The override panel, where is it? Her engineering knowledge fights through the hypoxia fog, a 340 cabin systems, crew oxygen, there's a manual override, emergency backup, not in the cockpit. The engineers designed redundancy. If cockpit oxygen fails or is compromised, there's a secondary activation point accessible from the cabin, hidden, service panel, behind. Where forward lavatory? No. Too small, mid-cabin service area? Maybe. Aft cabin. Electronics bay access. Yes, that's it, aft cabin. Lower deck access panel. Near the rear galley. Maintenance access to environmental systems. But that's 60 feet away. Lena can barely stand. She has to try. In the cockpit, Dennis is watching the clock. 15 minutes since he reduced oxygen. The effects should be significant now. He glances at the cabin camera feed. Small monitor showing the forward galley. Sees Lena gripping the counter, struggling. Sees passengers starting to notice. Good. Let them see her incompetent. Let them see her unable to do her job. Just like she made him look incompetent 3 months ago. Stefan is focused on flying. Hasn't noticed anything wrong. The cockpit oxygen is normal. Dennis didn't reduce theirs. Only the cabin crew stations. Stefan has no reason to check those systems. Everything on his panel looks normal. Dennis makes another adjustment. Reduces crew oxygen further, 40% to 30%. That'll finish it faster. But the real shock was yet to come. Lena pushes off the counter, stumbles into the aisle. Passengers watch with growing concern. She's walking like she's drunk, unsteady, grabbing seat backs for support. She moves down the aisle, 1 step, 2 steps. Her legs don't want to work. Her brain is screaming for oxygen. A passenger in 12D, Dr. Hassan Ahmed, cardiologist from Cairo, recognizes the symptoms. He's seen hypoxia before, altitude sickness, oxygen deprivation. He stands up, asks Lena directly, "Are you hypoxic?" Lena nods, can't waste breath on words. Dr. Ahmed asks where the crew oxygen masks are. He can help her. Lena shakes her head. Masks won't work. Source is compromised. Needs override. Needs panel. She keeps moving. 20 feet, 30 feet. The cabin is spinning. She's not going to make it. Her vision is graying out. Consciousness slipping. Another passenger stands, Jennifer Torres, mechanical engineer from Munich. She sees what's happening, sees the flight attendants down, sees Lena struggling. Something is systematically wrong. She asks what she can do. Lena stops, grips a seat back, forces words out. Aft cabin, panel, need to open it. Jennifer nods, tells Lena to lean on her. They move together, faster. Jennifer is strong, supports Lena's weight. They're moving. Other passengers are alarmed now, 20 people standing, asking what's happening. Someone suggests calling the captain. Another passenger tries the cockpit door. Locked. Standard security. He pounds on it. No response. Dennis hears the pounding, ignores it, watches the camera, sees passengers helping Lena toward the rear cabin. His face hardens. She's more persistent than he expected. Fine, she won't make it. Even if she reaches the panel, she'll be unconscious before she can do anything. Lena and Jennifer reach the rear galley. Sarah is still unconscious on the floor. 2 passengers are tending to her, checking pulse, trying to wake her. They're asking what to do. Lena can't help them yet. Has to reach the override first. Has to save everyone. She points to a panel in the floor. Service access, locked, needs tool. Her words are barely whispers now. Jennifer looks around, finds a metal serving tray, not ideal but might work. She wedges it into the panel edge. Please, the lock breaks. Panel lifts. Below is a narrow service bay, wiring, systems, environmental controls, oxygen distribution manifold visible. And there, a small control box, red and white striped border, emergency override panel. Lena drops to her knees, reaches into the bay. Her hands are shaking, vision almost gone. She's seconds from unconsciousness. The override box has a keypad, 4-digit code. Her brain struggles to remember 7 years ago. Airbus training, engineering protocols, emergency codes. What was it? Her fingers hover over the keypad. Can't think. Hypoxia is destroying her cognitive function. The numbers blur. Then something clicks. Muscle memory, factory training. The code was based on aircraft designation. A 340, Airbus 340. The code was 3404. She enters it 3404. The panel beeps. Red light, wrong code. No, that's not it. Try again. What was it? A 340 series. This is the -600 variant. 3406. No, wait. The code was based on the oxygen system certification number. What was that number? Her hand slips. She's fading. Consciousness going. Jennifer grabs her shoulder, shakes her. Stay awake. What's the code? Lena can't speak, can't think. Everything is dark. And right then something unexpected happened. Stefan in the cockpit notices something on his system's display. Crew oxygen flow rate. It's showing an abnormally low reading. That's strange. He mentions it to Dennis, says the crew oxygen pressure looks low. Dennis waves it off, says it's probably a sensor issue. He'll check it later, but Stefan is German, methodical. He doesn't ignore anomalies. He pulls up the environmental systems page, sees the crew oxygen flow has been manually reduced. Significantly, he asks Dennis why he adjusted it. Dennis says he didn't. Must be a malfunction. Stefan looks at the system log, shows manual adjustment. 15 minutes ago, from the captain's panel. Stefan turns to Dennis. His expression changes, confused, then suspicious. Why would the captain manually reduce crew oxygen? Dennis's face remains neutral, says he doesn't remember adjusting that. Maybe he hit something accidentally. Stefan doesn't buy it. He knows the panels. You don't accidentally reduce oxygen flow. That requires multiple inputs, deliberate action. He asks Dennis to restore normal oxygen flow now. Dennis hesitates just a second, but Stefan sees it, sees the calculation in Dennis's eyes, and suddenly Stefan understands. This wasn't an accident. This was intentional. Stefan's hand moves to the oxygen controls. He'll restore it himself. Dennis stops him, physically, grabs Stefan's wrist, tells him not to touch the controls. Stefan stares at him, shock and horror mixing on his face, asks what Dennis has done. Dennis's response is cold, says Stefan doesn't understand, says this is about accountability, about making sure people face consequences for their actions. Stefan realizes he's trapped in a cockpit with a captain who's deliberately harming the crew. His training screams at him. This is criminal. This is assault. He needs to stop this. He reaches for the oxygen controls again. Dennis pulls him back. They struggle, not violent, but Dennis is blocking him, preventing restoration. In the aft cabin, Lena is on the edge of complete unconsciousness, her hand still on the keypad. Jennifer is begging her to stay awake. Dr. Ahmed has arrived. He's checking Lena's pulse. Rapid, thready. She's in severe distress, minutes from permanent brain damage. And then somehow through the darkness, Lena's engineering brain makes one last connection. The code. Not aircraft number, not certification. The code was based on oxygen pressure. Standard atmospheric pressure at sea level, 1,013 millibars. The override code was 1013. Her fingers move, barely conscious. Automatic, 1013. The panel beeps, green light. The oxygen system activates. Manual override successful. Full flow restored. Emergency oxygen flooding crew stations. Lena gasps. Pure oxygen hitting her lungs. Her vision starts clearing. Consciousness returning. Around the cabin, the other flight attendants begin responding. Maria lifts her head. Thomas takes a deep breath. Sarah, in the aft galley, stirs. Oxygen is flowing, they're recovering, but the crisis isn't over, because in the cockpit, Dennis just realized what happened. He sees the system display, crew oxygen restored, manual override activated. Someone bypassed his control from the cabin. His face goes red with rage. He tells Stefan to keep flying. Dennis stands, opens the cockpit door, storms into the cabin. Passengers see him coming. His expression is fury, pure rage. He's walking toward the aft cabin, toward Lena. Dr. Ahmed and Jennifer see him, position themselves between Lena and the approaching captain. They don't know what's happening, but they know threat when they see it. Dennis reaches them, demands to know who touched the override panel. That's restricted, maintenance only. Whoever accessed it is in violation of regulations. Lena is sitting up now, oxygen working, strength returning. She looks at Dennis, her eyes clear. She knows now, knows what he did, knows it was deliberate. Her exact words, quiet but firm. I know what you did, Dennis, and so will everyone else. Dennis's face hardens, threatens her, says she has no proof, says she accessed restricted systems without authorization. She's the one who'll face consequences. But Lena smiles, small, knowing, because she's already thought ahead. She tells Dennis the aircraft systems log everything, every adjustment, every input, every timestamp. His manual reduction of crew oxygen is recorded permanently. The data is transmitted to ground systems, already recorded with the airline. And then she adds, and you're on camera right now. Dennis looks around. 3 passengers have phones out, recording. They've been recording since he stormed out of the cockpit, his threats, his rage, everything. The evidence is already being saved. Multiple copies, multiple witnesses. Dennis realizes his mistake. He went too far, lost control, and now there's no going back. If he thought the investigation 3 months ago was bad, what's about to happen will end everything. Stefan's voice crackles over the PA. He's declaring an emergency. Flight 167 is diverting. Immediately, nearest suitable airport, Cairo International, 90 minutes away. Dennis hears the announcement in the cabin, spins around, storms back to the cockpit, tells Stefan to cancel that. They're not diverting. They're continuing to Johannesburg. Stefan doesn't even look at him. He's on the radio with Cairo ATC, declaring, pan, medical emergency, crew incapacitation, multiple injuries, suspected deliberate interference with aircraft systems, requesting emergency landing clearance and law enforcement on arrival. Dennis reaches for Stefan's headset, tries to stop the transmission. Stefan blocks him, switches to the other radio, continues the emergency declaration. He's calm, professional, but his message is clear. The captain is the threat. Dr. Ahmed appears at the cockpit door. He's a large man, physically imposing. He tells Dennis to return to the cabin. The first officer is in command now. Dennis looks around, sees passengers standing, multiple phones recording, sees the fury in their faces. They know what he did. They watched their crew nearly die, watched Lena fight for consciousness. They're not going to let him interfere. Dennis realizes he's trapped, surrounded, no way out. He backs down, returns to the cabin, but Dr. Ahmed and 2 other male passengers, both ex-military, both large, escort him to a rear seat. They don't let him move. They stand over him, guard him. One passenger is a South African police officer off duty. He produces handcuff-style zip ties from his carry-on, personal security equipment he travels with. He restrains Dennis's wrists to the armrest, not violently, professionally. Dennis is effectively under citizen's arrest. Dennis sits, silent, staring ahead. His expression is blank now. The rage is gone, replaced by nothing, emptiness. He knows what's coming. In the cockpit, Stefan is flying. He's never declared an emergency before, never had command mid-flight, but he's handling it. He's calm, focused. Cairo ATC is giving him priority, direct routing, vectors straight in. In the cabin, Lena is recovering. The oxygen is working. Her symptoms are reversing. The headache is fading. Vision clear. Breathing normal. She's sitting in a passenger seat. Dr. Ahmed checking her vitals. Pulse returning to normal. She's okay. The other flight attendants are recovering too. Maria is awake. Thomas is standing. Sarah is conscious but weak. They're all going to be fine. But it was close. Too close. Lena asks for her phone, pulls up the voice recording app. Records a statement, time, date, what happened, Dennis's sabotage, his threat, his admission, the override she activated, everything. She saves 3 copies, emails them to herself, to the airline safety department, to her personal attorney, documentation, just like 3 months ago. But this time, it's not a concern, it's evidence of a crime. Jennifer Torres, the engineer who helped her, asks what the override code was. How did Lena know it? Lena explains. 7 years at Airbus, she helped design these systems, knows the emergency protocols, the codes, the redundancies. The engineers built backups for exactly this scenario, if someone in the cockpit becomes the threat. Jennifer stares at her. You built these planes? Lena nods. Before she became a flight attendant, she knows the A340 better than almost anyone flying, and Dennis Hargrove chose the wrong person to sabotage. Flight 167 begins descent into Cairo. 90 minutes becomes 70, then 50. The aircraft crosses into Egyptian airspace. A TC vectors them straight to runway 05R. Emergency vehicles are staging. Police are waiting. Stefan flies the approach perfectly. Stable, smooth. He lands the A340 gently, exits the runway, taxis to a remote stand, away from the terminal, isolated, surrounded by emergency vehicles. The aircraft stops. Engines shut down. The door opens. Egyptian Federal Police board first. 4 officers, armed. They're briefed by ATC on the situation. They move directly to Dennis Hargrove in the rear cabin. He doesn't resist, doesn't speak. They remove the zip ties, replace them with proper handcuffs, read him his rights in English and German. Attempted murder, assault, sabotage of an aircraft, endangering lives. Dennis is led off the aircraft. Passengers watch. Some record on phones. Others applaud as he's removed. He doesn't look at anyone, just walks. Defeated, empty. Lena and the other affected crew members are taken to a medical facility at the airport. Full examinations, blood oxygen levels tested, neurological assessments. Everyone is stable. No permanent damage, but the doctors confirm severe hypoxia. Another 5 minutes, and they would have seen unconsciousness, possibly brain damage, possibly death. The passengers are deplaned, given hotel accommodations. Replacement crew is being sent from Frankfurt. The flight will continue to Johannesburg tomorrow. Different captain, different aircraft. Stefan gives his statement to Egyptian authorities, then to German federal police who arrive 6 hours later, then to airline investigators, then to Airbus safety officials. He describes everything. The oxygen reduction, Dennis's manual adjustments, the struggle in the cockpit, Dennis's admission that it was about accountability. Stefan's testimony is damning, precise, unambiguous. He's a first-hand witness to deliberate sabotage. The aircraft systems are downloaded, every log, every entry. The data shows exactly what Dennis did. Timestamp 9:47 UTC, crew oxygen reduced to 60%. Timestamp 9:53 reduced to 50%. Timestamp 10:02 reduced to 40%. Timestamp 10:09 forward galley isolated reduced to 30%. All manual inputs, all from the captain's panel, deliberate, methodical, calculated. The airline suspends Dennis immediately, not just from flying, from employment. He's terminated for cause, gross misconduct, criminal activity, endangering crew and passengers. There's no appeal process for this, no union protection. He's done. The German federal police issue an arrest warrant. When Dennis is extradited from Egypt, which takes 3 weeks, he's arrested the moment he lands in Frankfurt, charged formally, remanded in custody, no bail, flight risk and danger to aviation. The investigation expands. They review Dennis's previous flights, his last 6 months of operations, looking for patterns. They find troubling indicators, verbal abuse of crew on multiple flights, complaints from 4 different flight attendants, not reported because they feared retaliation. One report of Dennis threatening to make someone's job difficult if they filed paperwork. The investigation 3 months ago takes on new context. Lena's report wasn't wrong. Dennis was impaired. He was struggling. And instead of accepting help, getting treatment, addressing the problem, he blamed the messenger. Let resentment calcify into hatred, into violence. The passengers from Flight 167 give statements. 53 of them provide detailed accounts. They describe watching the crew collapse, Lena's struggle, Dennis's rage, his threats. The videos are submitted as evidence, multiple angles, multiple recordings, undeniable. The trial is swift. German courts don't tolerate aviation crimes. The evidence is overwhelming. Flight data, voice recordings, witness testimony, videos, medical records, system logs. Dennis is found guilty on all counts: attempted murder of 5 crew members, sabotage of an aircraft, endangering 280 passengers, violation of international aviation safety regulations. He's sentenced to 12 years in prison. No parole eligibility for 8 years. After release, he's permanently banned from any aviation-related employment. His pilot license is revoked for life. His name is entered into international aviation databases. He will never touch an aircraft again. The airline faces consequences, too. How did Dennis's burnout go unnoticed? How were crew complaints not properly investigated? How did warning signs get missed? The carrier implements new protocols, mandatory psychological evaluations every 6 months for all pilots, confidential reporting system for crew concerns, independent investigation of all safety reports, zero tolerance for retaliation. The industry takes notice. IATA, International Air Transport Association, issues safety bulletins. The Flight 167 incident becomes a case study. How crew members must watch for pilot impairment, burnout, and retaliation. How aircraft systems need protection from insider threats. How support systems must identify struggling pilots before they become dangerous. And Lena Voss becomes the face of that change. 6 months after the incident, Lena receives the International Aviation Safety Award in Geneva, presented by the Swiss Federal Office of Civil Aviation, recognition for exceptional courage and technical expertise in preventing loss of life. The ceremony is formal. Industry leaders present. Lena stands on stage in professional attire, not her uniform, a sharp business suit. The award is a crystal sculpture and a certificate signed by aviation authorities from 14 countries. The citation reads, "For extraordinary actions aboard Flight 167, utilizing specialized technical knowledge to overcome deliberate sabotage, thereby saving the lives of 5 crew members and ensuring the safety of 280 passengers. Her actions demonstrate the highest standards of aviation professionalism and exemplify the critical importance of technical expertise at all crew positions." Lena gives a brief acceptance speech. She doesn't gloat, doesn't mention Dennis by name. Instead, she talks about aviation safety culture, about how everyone on an aircraft has expertise, about how crews must trust each other, not fear each other, about how reporting safety concerns is a duty, not a betrayal. She mentions her 7 years at Airbus, how understanding the systems you work with can save lives. She encourages more technical cross-training, more engineers becoming crew members, more crew members learning engineering. The speech is gracious, professional, powerful. Afterward, Airbus offers her a position, safety consulting. She'd work with both engineering teams and operational crews, bridge the gap between design and daily flying, train crew members on aircraft systems, train engineers on operational realities. Lena accepts. She continues flying part-time, loves the travel, loves the passengers, but now she's also shaping the future of aviation safety. Her expertise is recognized, valued, utilized. Stefan Richter is promoted to captain, accelerated track. His handling of the emergency was textbook perfect. His decision to take command from a compromised captain, his emergency declaration, his landing, all exemplary. He's now training other first officers on crew resource management and threat recognition. Dr. Ahmed and Jennifer Torres receive commendations from the airline. Their quick response helped save Lena. They're offered lifetime complimentary upgrades, small gesture but appreciated. The passengers from Flight 167 form a support group. Many had PTSD after the incident. They help each other process. Some never fly again. Others fly, but with anxiety. A few become aviation safety advocates. One passenger creates a documentary about the incident. It wins awards, raises awareness about pilot mental health and retaliation culture. Dennis Hargrove sits in prison. He has 8 years before parole consideration. He works in the prison workshop, assembles simple products, nothing complex, nothing that requires judgment or trust. His wife divorced him. His children won't speak to him. His former colleagues view him as a cautionary tale. The pilot who let anger destroy everything. Sometimes in his cell at night, Dennis thinks about that moment, when he reduced Lena's oxygen, when he thought he was teaching her a lesson, when he believed he was powerful, he thought he had control, he thought he'd won. He didn't know who he was threatening, didn't know she built the machine he was trying to weaponize, didn't know she had 7 years of expertise he couldn't match. And now he knows, but knowledge came too late. The lesson is simple. Resentment is poison. Retaliation is destruction. And when you weaponize your authority against those you're meant to protect, you don't become powerful. You become criminal. Dennis Hargrove forgot what it meant to be a captain. A captain protects the crew, trusts the crew, values the crew. Lena Voss remembered what it meant to be a professional. She documented safety concerns. She saved lives. She proved expertise has nothing to do with rank and everything to do with knowledge. And somewhere right now in a modern aircraft over an ocean, a flight attendant is checking systems, noticing a problem, speaking up, being heard, because Flight 167 changed the conversation. Pride doesn't keep you safe at 38,000 feet. Teamwork does, expertise does, respect does. And when a captain forgets that, there's always someone who remembers, someone who built the aircraft, someone who knows the codes, someone who won't let power become poison.